to collectively work and engage with our community as a whole. The Ujima Collective additionally has language, which we say language is the carrier of culture. That's a famous quote from Chinua Achebe. And so we're so grateful that you are here on Juneteenth to share in this time. So the first thing that we always do in our village is ask for permission. And if I can let's see all of our elders, permission for me to continue in this ceremony. Anyone older than 46 years old that I can continue speaking, and you'll say, yeah, yeah. Wait, was that it? Anybody over 46? Yeah, yeah. And so we first give honor to our ancestors. This celebration of Juneteenth is about the honoring of our ancestors, the emancipation, which was delivered to many 2.5 years later that they were enslaved. And so each step that was taken to freedom and liberation is continuing because we are our wildest dreams come true. And I say we are because we are still present. We are the future. I want to give gratitude and acknowledge the lands that we stand upon as indigenous lands of the Tewa and Carib-speaking people of New Mexico. I'd like to give honor to our African ancestors who bled into the soil and built this nation. I give honor to the tribes. We have 19 indigenous tribes that are in New Mexico and 23 sovereign nations. I honor their governors and leadership and for bringing us into the arms across this nation for those who were escaping and running to freedom, that we had refuge. And so we stand in solidarity with our indigenous ancestors as well. And so if I can get quiet in the house, quiet in the house, quiet in the house, quieter in the house, a little softer in the house. And we'd like to acknowledge a recent loss that was very tragic in our community.
Oh, I think we actually do.
A young woman named Brandy Johnson, who worked with our community to establish her business, to massage into people healing, to speak into others' life. That just a couple of days ago, Brandy Johnson was laid to rest, and she has crossed over as an ancestor now. And so we want to honor her family going through this time of grieving, of sorrow, of mourning. That if you see anyone from the Johnson family, please give them a heartfelt, loving embrace, because it is not easy. And she was young, younger than what we should be. She was an advocate and a warrior for mental health in our community. And though we have struggles and we have overcome so much, when we are standing as young women and Black young women and embodying and embracing all the trauma that we have had to experience, it can be overwhelming. So be there with loving arms to your neighbor, and kindness and generosity. And so we just want to acknowledge her and those who have transitioned on into the ancestral realm. My name, for those who don't know, is Neema Kamaria Anifa Pickett, and Who knows about a rodeo called the Bill Pickett Rodeo? Anybody? Woo woo! All right, I grew up on a 24-acre working ranch in the foothills, the rolling hills of Altadena, California. And everything that I knew, from the eucalyptus trees to planting in the garden with my family and my grandmother and my mother, who I give honor to, the story songbird woman, Miss Brenda Marley. I stand upon her shoulders. I stand on Papa Pickett's shoulders, who is my father, and a huge advocate for supporting farmers and ranchers throughout New Mexico, and black farmers specifically, and passing legislation and so forth for our community. And so I stand upon those shoulders as well. I represent the Office of Black Community Engagement for the City of Albuquerque and am the liaison therein for our city. And so we are just honored that you came to celebrate with us today for Juneteenth. And we have a very special, I want to say friend, in the house, who's going to make his way this direction. And as he makes his way this direction, surprises. I just want to give a huge round of applause, if you can put your hands together, for none other than Miguel Albuquerque. Warm welcome to Albuquerque, my dear friend.
Good evening, everyone. I want to hear that call and response. Good evening. Thank you. Good evening. My name is Miguel Albuquerque, and I'm a senior associate with the Business Ownership Strategy team at Living Cities, visiting you folks from Brooklyn, New York. I'm honored. Yeah, Brooklyn. Queen in the house. Queens in the house. We love Queens too. That's the world's world. I'm honored to be here today for the beautiful Juneteenth celebrations and celebrate the first graduating class of the Ujima Collective Entrepreneurial Training Program. For those unfamiliar with Living Cities, we're a national collaborative made up of 18 major philanthropic institutions with offices in New York and Washington, D.C. And we work in 24 cities across the U.S. to help close racial income and wealth gaps. Our work focuses on empowering marginalized communities by partnering with city government, community-based organizations, and philanthropic institutions to support wealth building through home and business ownership. This is my first time in Albuquerque, and I felt so warmly welcomed. I arrived earlier this week on Monday for a joint conference hosted by Hispanics in Philanthropy and Natives in Philanthropy, which gave me a deeper understanding of the history of Albuquerque and New Mexico. I want to acknowledge the Native communities who have inhabited these lands for millennia, far before any of the rest of us arrived. I was fortunate to visit the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center and learn about the 19 Indian Pueblos of New Mexico and their enduring legacy of resilience and strength. Today is also Juneteenth, a day of celebration, pride, and remembrance in the Black community. Although only made a federal holiday in 2021, and this administration is trying to take us backwards, they neglected to celebrate Juneteenth today. Juneteenth has long been a joyous celebration within the Black community, commemorating the end of nearly 250 years of chattel slavery and the ongoing fight for Black liberation. It's a time to reflect on the strength, pride, and resilience of Black communities, and I'm grateful to celebrate it here in Albuquerque with you all and to learn more about the local Black and African migrant communities. Living Cities has had an 11-year partnership with the City of Albuquerque, focused on advancing racial equity and economic opportunity. Starting in 2014 with the Integration Initiative and City Alive, we brought together local leaders to accelerate job creation and support entrepreneurs of color. This work continued through initiatives like City Accelerator and Startup Stay Up Scale Up, which supported marginalized entrepreneurs and helped embed equity-centered systems change within local government. Our collaboration helped lead to long-term structural changes, racial equity policies that continue to shape the city's economic strategy. In 2020, we launched the Business Starts and Growth cohort as part of our Closing the Gaps network, working in 6 cities: Austin, Albuquerque, Memphis, Minneapolis, St. Paul, and Rochester. Each city took a unique approach to supporting entrepreneurship,
In Austin, for instance, we are supporting both the only Black-owned bookstore in Austin and a Latina-led nonprofit community center that serve as incubators for entrepreneurs of color in the city of Austin. In Albuquerque, Memphis, and Rochester, we are supporting entrepreneurial training programs like the Ujima Collective. All three of those programs are about 98 or 99% Black entrepreneurs. And in Minneapolis and St. Paul, we are backing initiatives focused on worker-owned cooperatives and shared commercial real estate ownership models. The real power of this work has come from the communities themselves and the city agencies that have built programs responsive to local needs. In Albuquerque, we've partnered closely with the Office of Equity and Inclusion, or OEI, on both home ownership and business ownership initiatives. This work, while challenging at times, has always been driven by the goal of delivering resources directly to communities that need them most. I want to give a special thanks to Ms. Ujima Pickett, the Office of Black Community Engagement Liaison, who joined in early 2024 and immediately took the lead in building the Ujima Collective. In just 6 short months, Ujima helped shape and launch a program that is making a real difference. Her energy, dedication, and deep care for her community have been truly inspiring. Thank you, Ujima. We could not have done this without you. I'd also like to extend a heartfelt thank you to the New Mexico Black Leadership Council for providing a home for the Ujima Collective, and to the rest of the OEI team who helped bring this program to life. To the Ujima Collective graduates, it has been a joy getting to know you, your stories, and your businesses. This is the most rewarding part of my work, seeing how advocacy and investment can uplift entrepreneurs and communities too often overlooked. You are building something powerful, and I have no doubt you all have bright futures ahead. As you continue to grow your businesses, I encourage you to share your knowledge, support one another, and continue to give back to your community. In times like these, when the national climate is uncertain, aggressive, and hostile to our communities, our shared resilience and commitment to each other matter more than ever. We must continue to uplift ourselves and each other and root our work in community. It has been a true privilege to be here with you. Thank you for welcoming me, and congratulations again to the inaugural Ujima Collective cohort. We at Living Cities are so proud of you and wish you lasting success.
I wasn't able to move. I wasn't able to do anything but go to my bathtub and ice my body down. So when I say that it is miracles that can exist, I thank you for all of your prayers. I thank you for all of your meditations. I thank you for every single one of the emails, the text messages. I wasn't able to be at our city Juneteenth, which, we as the organizing committee spent months to plan, and laying in bed looking at my 4 walls and having to coordinate my back like, oh, don't forget to do this and take this to my table, and all of the amazing things. And I just want to give a huge thanks to Ms. Carla Housley, the Chamber of Commerce, the Black Chamber of Commerce. Talk who you are, because she's incredible and runs things like nobody else. She's also the reason that we manifest being able to partner with the Chamber to offer every single one of the cohort members a 1-year membership so that they can receive continuing support, continuing mentorship, continuing to build their platforms, websites, trainings, and all of those things, scholarship and grant opportunities, and we have recipients even in this room. to our next speaker as she makes her way is Dr. Kirsten Buick. And when I literally made the call and was like, we're going to need help with this collective, and they selected Swahili as the language who can teach this to our people so that we make spaces equitable in business, and being able to speak someone's language is empowering. And our dear friend Dr. Peter, who could not be here tonight, Dr. Peter Njagi was with us for this last 9 months, teaching Swahili language to all of our collective members, and also helped with the translation of the videos that will be released in their dual language, along with Dr. Betty, who I think has left. But he is in Kenya right now, and so wasn't able to be with us to speak with you tonight. But when I made the ask in the reach, she said a resounding absolutely yes. We will be there, we will show up, we will support, we will send education. And so Dr. Buick is a professor of art history and chair of Africana studies at our University of New Mexico. Her teaching and scholarship focuses on the material and visual culture of the British Empire, arts of the U.S., African American art, landscape representation, women, and patrons. Histories of medicine and pro and anti-abolitionist images in the Atlantic world. She received the David C. Driscoll Prize for Child of the Fire. Mary Lewis and the Problem of Art History, Black and Indian Subject from Duke University Press in 2022, she was named Distinguished Scholar. Y'all, Distinguished Scholar by the College Art Association. Her second book is
Authenticity, Carol Walker and the Identics of Racism.
Thank you. Remember us from legal drugs for pain, y'all. So thank you for bearing with me this entire night, and I will pass the torch to none other than Dr. Peter.
Good evening, everyone. It is a pleasure and a privilege to be here with you this evening. I was inspired by all of the graduates. This has been an uplifting experience. I've been happy to spend my entire afternoon here. I would like to begin by offering a special thanks to Naima Pickett for inviting me to speak, but also and especially for her support of Africana Studies and our postdoctoral fellow, Peter Njagi. What I have to say this evening, and you don't have to shush people. I was a museum educator for 4 years. I'm used to talking with background noise. But what I have to say this evening goes to the question of why we would entrust what we hold most dear to the institutions that will betray us. Okay? And so I titled my brief keynote remarks this evening, "We must be the translators of our own experiences." I'd like to start with the land and labor acknowledgement. I would like to acknowledge that I am here on the traditional territory of Sandia, Esleda, and other Pueblo peoples, the original peoples of New Mexico, Pueblo, the Nec, and the Cache, since time immemorial, have deep connections to the land and have made significant contributions to the broader community statewide. We honor the land itself and those who remain stewards of this land throughout the generations. And we acknowledge our committed relationship to Indigenous peoples. We gratefully recognize our history. And on Juneteenth especially, We recognize the painful legacy of slavery, and we honor the resilience of Black Americans whose forced labor helped to build the United States. In our labor acknowledgement, we reflect on the lives lost to slavery, segregation, and systemic racism, past and present. I begin with this quotation about translation. The 21st century is the great age of translation. Millions more people are moving around the planet than at any time in history. And as those millions move around, taking their own languages with them, they encounter other languages, other cultural frameworks, and other belief systems. Hence, are compelled, whether consciously or not, to engage in some form of translation. It is a new emerging global reality, a new international space, where great numbers of people have come to live in a state of in-betweenness, endlessly negotiating between the familiar and the unfamiliar, the known and the other. However, when translation was left to colonial powers, the results have been uniformly catastrophic. Fortunately, Ujima represents progress in our acts as translation, as acts of reciprocity and sharing. On the left is a photograph of the Swiss anthropologist Louis Agassiz, born in 1807, somewhere in the Swiss Confederation. We know exactly where he was born. And he died in 1873 in Cambridge, Massachusetts, where he taught at Harvard University. And there's a building named for him there. On the right is one of, we believe, the earliest photographs of an enslaved African. He was born with the name unknown. He was later known by the name Renti Taylor. He was born around 1775 in the Congo Basin in Africa. We don't know quite when he died, except for it was after 1866, and he probably died in Columbia, South Carolina. Louis Agassiz commissioned this photograph in 1850. He commissioned it to prove his theory of polygenesis, the idea that only white Anglo-Saxon Protestants were the children of Adam and Eve, and that the rest of us descended from a different originary unit. His commissioning of the daguerreotypes of 8 enslaved Africans also, in his mind, served the purpose of proving differences among Africans. In 1865, when slavery ended, Agassiz then went to Brazil to continue his experiment with enslaved Africans. The daguerreotypes of Renti and his daughter Julia were rediscovered in Harvard's Peabody Museum of Anthropology in 1995 and have never been out of circulation since. Harvard has made untold hundreds of thousands of dollars licensing these images. And when the descendant of Renti came forward and said, "This is a photograph of my great exponentially great grandfather," and that the photograph of his daughter is also my answer. I demand from you, Harvard University, the return of these images. Harvard said no, and initially won in court by arguing that the actual inheritors of this image was the photographer and not the descendant. J.T. Zealy was the photographer. And so Harvard tried to retain the images by a typical art world maneuver. Even the descendants of Louis Agassiz said, give them back. And in 2023, for an exhibition at the Albuquerque Museum in Texas titled Emancipation, the Unfinished Project of Liberation, I challenged Harvard, and I asked him, is this a specimen? In which case you will illegally retain ownership of this image, or is he an ancestor? Is he an object, or is he an ancestor? Colleges were and are material instruments akin to armories and forts, a part of the colonial garrison system, with the specific responsibilities to train ministers and missionaries and professors to convert indigenous peoples and soften cultural resistance, and to extend European rule over foreign nations. In Ebony and Ivy, Race, Slavery, and the Troubled History of America's Universities, Craig Stephen Wilder reveals the early purpose of the American college and how they became rooted in the slave economies of the colonial world. Colleges arrived in the Americas in response to European nations' attempts to seize territories and hold off rivals. European powers deployed colleges to help defend and regulate their colonial possessions. And they turned to African slavery and the African slave trade to fund these efforts. Beyond the manual labor that enslaved African people provided, American colleges trained their personnel and cultivated the ideas that accelerated and legitimated the dispossession of Native Americans and the enslavement of Africans. Harvard was founded around 1663, and it has amassed billions of dollars in their endowment through their participation in the Atlantic slave trade. How do you think a university could fight successfully the federal government? This is not an accident. March 29, 2025, the descendant of Renty and Delia finally won. They finally beat Harvard, and they gained repossession of the daguerreotypes that were used to harm other Africans. And this is Tamara Lanier, and her great-great-great-grandfather, Renty, who she calls Papa Renty, and her daughter Delia. These images will be transferred from the Peabody Museum of Archaeology and Ethnology to the International African American Museum in South Carolina. The settlement is a 15-year battle between Lanier and the university to release the 19th century daguerreotypes, a precursor to modern-day photographs. This victory is unprecedented because every university whose property you step foot on, they have human remains. they are in possession of human remains. Example number 2. Do you guys remember 1985? I remember exactly where I was when I saw the government bomb the neighborhood in Philadelphia. The moon bombing. Additional human remains from the 1985 police bombing on the headquarters of Philadelphia Black Liberation Movement have been quote-unquote found at the University of Pennsylvania's museum. The remains are believed to be those of 12-year-old Delisha Africa, one of 5 children and 6 adults killed when police bombed the MOVE organization's headquarters, causing a fire that spread to dozens of row homes on May 13, 1985. The remains were quote-unquote discovered during a comprehensive inventory that the Penn Museum conducted to prepare thousands of artifacts, some dating back more than a century, to be moved into upgraded storage facilities. In 2021, museum officials acknowledged that the university had retained bones from at least one bombing victim after helping with the forensic identification process in the wake of the bombing. Again, this is 1 year in the life of Africa and the African diaspora. 1 year. June 1st, 2025, the skulls of 19 Black Americans were returned to New Orleans after 150 years in Germany. Sometime before January 10, 1872, a young Black laborer named William Roberts checked himself into Charity Hospital in New Orleans. Just 23 years old, he was from Georgia and had a strong build, according to hospital records. His only reported sickness was diarrhea. He was one of 19 Black patients who quote-unquote died at the hospital in December of 1871 and January of 1872, and whose skulls were sent to Germany to be studied by a doctor researching, according to this article, and now wholly discredited science that reported a correlation between the shape and size of the skull and a person's intellect and character. The skulls languished in Germany for about 150 years until Leipzig University contacted the city of New Orleans 2 years ago to repatriate them. And you can see Mayor Latoya Cantrell carrying the remains of one of the young 19-year-old, of the young man. And this is how white science translates our existence. The sciences of physiognomy, phonology, and craniology may be discredited. But how do officials use the term guide or the belt? Museums around the world, including the Smithsonian, still retain collections of human remains and skulls. And yet we give our treasures to the Smithsonian and expect them to honor them. Dr. Will Mitchell, a researcher at the University of Amsterdam, said that Leipzig University's collection was by no means the largest in the world or even the largest in Germany. And rather than return the remains to Charity Hospital, they could become part of the Hurricane Katrina Memorial. Trump signs executive order accusing the Smithsonian spreading anti-American ideology. On March 27, Trump ordered that improper devices or anti-American ideology be removed from the Smithsonian Institution. The order singles out the National Museum of African American History and Culture as problematic, claiming that it informs visitors that hard work, individualism, and the nuclear family are aspects of white culture. Do you see the irony in this photograph? The Washington Monument in the background and the building of the National Museum of America. Both are inspired by Africa. Both are inspired by Africa. The irony of the white obelisk, the whitened obelisk, that is the Washington Monument, inspired by ancient Egypt, and the National Museum of African American History and Culture, inspired by Yoruba art and architecture, specifically the corona or crown motif, also suggestive of an upside-down pyramid. I know which one I'd like to get rid of. Acts of erasure are acts of translation. Trump has recently removed MLK Jr.'s bust from the Oval Office. I'm glad that MLK doesn't have to look at it. If children were present, I tell you what he's done to the Oval Office. It looks like a bordello with the gold applique. Anyway. Acts of erasure are also acts of translation. And I'll close with this. How will we negotiate our future? How will we negotiate the foreign and the familiar, the known and the other? What does it mean to allow others to be translators of your experience? To entrust the material expression of your histories and the histories of our ancestors to the federal government? Will we continue to entrust our treasures to the uncertainties and inevitable betrayal of institutions? Africa is not poor. It is the richest continent on the planet. However, because of the compulsions of empire, since the early 15th century with the arrival of the Portuguese, Africa has been the subject of global theft. Impoverished while its diaspora has been devastated by capitalism and economic racism. Ujima, what you participated in for the past few months, represents a positive step towards negotiating the past, present, and future. Ujima allows an internationalizing New Mexico in the form of Black-owned companies to connect responsibly with Africa. Through Swahili and the development towards cultural competency, we must be the translators of our own experiences. And I think about this a lot as a professor at the University of New Mexico, also an imperializing institution. As chair of Africana Studies, they chip away every semester at the ground that we have gained. And so I'm grateful to the Ujima Collective for allowing my postdoctoral fellow, Peter Njagi, to share space with you, to share culture with you, and to share time with you. Thank you.
One more round of applause. So the time has come for everything we've been waiting for, these wonderful, amazing graduates, and we're so excited and so pleased that, again, you were here to join with all of us. And okay. All right, so we're going to roll into our graduation, and from there, have an amazing dance performance, okay, from Vision Academy. And I always say the Vision Academy because it happens to be led by my younger brother, none other than, I'm going to call his government name, Eugene Shelby Pickett III. So he goes by, see how big sisters get to talk about you because he's taller than me and he can move his fancy feet and I can't. And you know, the third is Trey, so that's why we call him Trey, but I still call him Shelby. Anyhow, so we will go ahead and start our graduate ceremony. Walk through the Sculpture Garden and Seaway Park. In your program, you have the map, not as we can get to walk, but it is in your program, so you know where to walk. All right, I'm going to welcome Mr. Miguel from Living Cities back to the stage. She's moving all the way from New York, right, to be here for this commemorative occasion and has been key in supporting me as a mentor, as a guide through this program. And Living Cities shows up and shows out. When they invited us to their town, we were taken care of. And this project, generously funded, all of the grants that our collective received, all of the food, all of the All right, so we're going to welcome our first graduate to the stage, none other than Isaac Walanja Sr. And here you are, Mr. Isaac. I'll go ahead and have, I'll read it. Ujima Collective Work and Responsibility 2024 through 2025. In this village, we agree to be seen. We sacrifice for one another. We step up to step back. We extend love. And you are your ancestors' wildest dreams manifested. They are receiving tonight is certified and authentic from the African Heritage Collection, Unity Globe, Bako. The Unity Globe embraces community and team spirit. Bako is a Ghanaian expression for unity. The spiral carving depicts three connected people holding the world up. The globe teaches us to embrace and celebrate our diversity. That learning and working together strengthens our collective bond and ensures a better quality of life for the community and beyond. The award also honors an individual's strongest passion and leadership to create a more positive and vibrant environment for all. So congratulations to you, Dr. Nia Harris. Wait a minute, did I get out of order? I did. The next one is Walanja Jr. So Walanja Jr., come on out. Or before you go. So sorry. Okay. So our next one up is none other than Afrolytic LLC. Come on out. Give him a round of applause. Dakari. Jordan is up in, I forgot where, but he is doing some healing with families. So if Carla from the chamber can come forward and receive his award because he is a diligent employee of their team, we would love that. And Jordan Stewart's Creative Duke LLC and has been a magnificent part. Congratulations, Jordan Tate. We're shouting you out from afar. House of Colors, Miss Brenda, come on down, receive your award. All right, up next, Dr. Nia Harris. Come on now, Dr. Nia Harris. And next, we have Sandra Williams, who's with her grandson right now. So receiving is the lovely Ardea Williams, her daughter, and she is the proprietress of her healing and coaching business in Ujima here. Oh, Cheyenne, come on out, Miss Frazier. Cottrell. Come on down there. All right, Jupira, Miss Johnson, come on down. Congratulations. I mean, these are beautiful. Hold the world in your hands, literally. Dr. Emmanuel Asanya, come on to the stage and give him a warm congratulations. Excellent work, my brother. All right, Miss Gardner, Tamara Gardner, come on down, sis. Congratulations. And next, none other, we have our very own Arlen Nelson. And Mr. Kenneth Winfrey is in the house. Congratulations to our next graduate.
You'll have the answer to our next question.
Marvin Nathan, I know you're going to dance onto the stage. Come on, let's see it. No? Okay. All right, all right. United We Dance Studio. Brother Patrick to the stage. Patrick Barrett Solution. Dr. Gail Bradley, come on down. Congratulations. And Felicia is on leave right now, so Felicia Mickelson, we will deliver your award.
And lastly, last but certainly not least, we have an award and a certificate also to Miss Ujima Dickens.
2024-2025 graduating class of the Ujima First Business Collective.